Are you winning? Do you need help in your life or business? Could you use some inspiration, business strategies, and success principles? I'm Daniel Gomez, award winning business coach, keynote speaker, and best selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you create a successful life and elevate your business. Together, we will discover the keys that unlock your success and dreams. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we motivate you, we inspire you, and today you're in for a treat. We're definitely going to inspire you, and we're going to just have a deep, hard conversation with a dear, dear friend of mine, beautiful human being. Let's welcome the one and only Bonnie Huntsman to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. How you doing, Bonnie?
Hi, I'm great, Daniel. Nice to see you as always. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Yes, well, I know the amazing, powerful woman, beautiful human being you are. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, please.
Oh, so good morning, everybody. I am Bonnie Huntsman. I am a realtor here in the local Orlando area. And I've been on this path a while since my father died to write a book that I'm going to hopefully talk about today. And just been just on this journey of life, what we know call life, and figuring things out as we go along, right? Like everybody.
Yes, well, I love that you said that because I think sometimes people think you have to have it all figured out before you start moving forward, and
You,
and and
you're
I
not.
think that that's a big misconception that you don't have to have it figured out. And I think for myself, I've never tried to figure anything out, and I think that's what God used to bless me to move forward so fast because I just like I don't overthink it. I do, and we'll figure it out. But why do you think so many people try to have it all figured out before they even take one baby step, Bonnie?
It's funny being in my 50s now. I always thought I had to have everything figured out and never would try anything because if it wasn't perfect, I think we feel like we have to present ourselves as being perfect, or the project has to be perfect before we present it to someone because of the flaws that we perceive in it. And then we don't do what we want to do in life, or we don't take the steps or the action, and we let that fear of not being perfect maybe hold us back.
So how did you overcome that? Because the thing this, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the beautiful thing about what I love, what I do. I went to an event in Scottsdale. I met an amazing, powerful woman from Florida, and I'm from Texas. And then we ended up being in another community together. And I'm like, well, maybe we're meant to do some stuff together. And then it turns out that you wanted to write a book, but what made you want to go and what was it? What was the final? Because I think there's so many men and women out there that, right, they're real estate agents, they're financial planners, they're professionals like yourself. But then there comes a point in your life when you hit your 40s, you hit your 50s, and you say, there has to be more to life. And you started investing in yourself in personal development. Like, what was that final moment in your life when you said, I need to change something because what I'm doing is not fulfilling anymore?
Right. So, as we had talked about many times, Daniel, the defining moment in my life was when my father died. And realizing he was 69, really young, is what I say as young, that he never lived a fulfilling life. He never lived any of his dreams. All he did was work his entire life to provide for his family. But then he had all these dreams that he set on the back burner because he never felt worthy of them. He never felt he deserved anything in life. He just thought whatever he got, that was what he deserved. And after his death, I got angry. As you know, we talked about that in some depth. That I'm doing the same thing he did. I woke up in my 50s, and I mean, I live my life, but I feel like I've never really lived my life until I started on this journey where I met you, like you said, and all these amazing people that I've met along the way that have helped me realize that I'm worthy of more in life, and that I deserve to fulfill all my dreams like many of us out there do. And so that's just the path that I've been on now. And it brought me to you, which I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Yes.
So
Well, ladies
yeah.
and gentlemen, this is the part of the show in the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show where we say, get out your pen, get out your paper, because we're going to go deeper and Bonnie's going to drop some deep, deep wisdom. And she's going to share her heart today and just really inspire and encourage a lot of men and women out there that need it, because so many of us, I think, and this is the perfect timing, right? Who would have thought this? I'm just thinking about this now. Like, This past Sunday was Father's Day, and look, this
Father's Day, by the way, belated.
thank you, but this episode is perfect because we're going to talk a lot about just kind of what you went through, and what I love about Bonnie's book, right? It's flying higher to a fulfilling life. Letters from a Father, and Bonnie's book is available on Amazon, so definitely go get a copy. But I really want to talk about Letters from a Father because inside your book we put a copy of the letter from your father. And talk to us about that. Why was that so, how can I say it right? What was the importance of that letter when you found it? And why did you need it when you found it?
Oh gosh, it's like where to begin. Well, cleaning out all his stuff after he died. So many different things of his I found that I have that I cherish now, besides his passport, which is another story. Um, but when I found the letter, because he was a man of unspoken words, he never really, like growing up, with the affection and tell me he loved me, but he gave me a lot of guidance growing up. Taught me a lot of little things in life, and I knew though he was always there for me when I needed him. But finding this letter just reaffirmed that what I knew, he always loved me, but never maybe really felt it in the sense that I got it from him as a verbal, I love you, I'm proud of you, until the letter stated all that that words that he couldn't say that he put into this letter of how much he was proud of me and that he loved me, that he just had to work so hard in life to provide for us, to put food on the table. 'Cause he worked 2 jobs often because, my mother was always ill, so couldn't work, and she was a stay-at-home mom, and he
So
worked.
thought about, I don't want to miss what you just said. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Is that your father passed away, you were in your 50s,
Yeah,
and he never really told you that he loved you, that he was proud of you. And the way right, he never verbalized it, I think is what I want to say.
right, right.
He
Yep,
showed it, but you didn't really hear the words until you read them in his letters. Is that, am I right? You were 50 years
yeah.
old until you first heard this?
Gosh, he's been
Wow.
8 years, so, in my late 40s, I wanna say, because 'cause he's been gone 8 years now, which that's so hard to believe that. But yeah, so probably late 40s, yeah, and never heard it, but like I said, the little things, the clues were there, but we all wanna hear it. Don't we all wanna hear those words, "I love you," from anybody, not just your father, but from as a little girl, as a father, those are words that, like, you wanna hear, and but, we can't change it. I just feel so grateful that, he did leave this letter that he wrote that I found eventually, and I have that now always, and, as you said, I put it in my book for everybody to kinda feel it.
Well, I think that's a good. So, ladies and gentlemen, write this down. Who do I need to tell I love you to more often?
Yeah, yep,
Maybe, maybe you do it once a year. Maybe maybe you're that guy or that girl, that wife or that husband that say it on a birthday or Father's Day, Mother's Day, or on somebody's birthday. But something that me and Marty we've done for seems like forever because we've been together forever for over 25 years is we've always said this is that we don't need a calendar.
mhm,
We don't need a calendar to remind us to love each other and tell each other that we love each other. And what I mean by that is it shouldn't take Valentine's Day to tell your wife you love her. It shouldn't take Valentine's Day to tell your husband you love him. It shouldn't take Father's Day for you to tell your father you love him, or Mother's Day. And listen to what Bonnie's saying. She was in her late 40s and she never heard I love you, I'm proud of you from her dad. You know, in my book, Sticker Shock, I talk about this that children that are affirmed by their parents have a higher level of confidence
mm,
and a higher level of success. Let me say that again. Children that are affirmed, that when you tell your children you can do it, you're great, I love you, I believe in you, whether it's a mother or father, when you speak that life over your children, their success rate goes up tremendously as to children that don't even hear that at all. And what you're saying, Bonnie, is so important because it's like we take it for granted is what is what I think is what happens, and we think that people are gonna live forever, or right, or right. You can know this because you've lived it, right? Or as a parent, we make the dumb, and I'm gonna say dumb assumption. Well, they know I love them. Why do I gotta say it?
Yeah. I feel like that was my father, as I said, because he did little things along the way growing up, like a snippet that I put in my book of how when I got my first car, he said, "You need to know how to change the oil. You need to know how to change a tire." And I'm like, "I'm a girl, Dad. I don't need to know that, right?" But no, he made sure that I did, so that like if I was ever out and had a flat tire, I would know how to change a tire by myself. Those little things, that he loved me. I knew it, but it was never spoken. And that's, the important thing. We can feel it and know it, but like that affirmation of those words, as you said, the daily affirmation of "I love you, I love you." Yeah, I mean, those are just precious, precious words that we can say to one another, as you said, before it's too late.
So let me ask you this. So you find this letter, and what starts happening inside of Bonnie? And because I can just imagine, right? Like what this is what I envision, right? I kind of just envision a person that's any human being, not just you, but you're down. And then you find this letter, and what does the letter do for you inside?
Ooh, at first it was maybe a lot of anger that you wrote it down, but you never told me. If you got to that point, you could write it down. I should have heard it. But just then the other aspect was I finally feel like I heard it through his letter and that felt it, felt the love, and knew that he always loved me. So yeah.
So why were you angry? This is so I love what you said, right? You were angry, and then
Hmm.
you're like,
All the emotions come up.
yeah, no, no, it's powerful because this is right. People think that they're weird, right? Well, like because we I want to talk about this because people need to understand that this is part of the normal process of healing, and sometimes we don't. I always talk about it in our book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, is we sweep it under the rug and we don't talk about it. But when you talk about it, it actually brings healing to your soul. It brings healing to your heart. It brings healing to your body. All that arthritis, all that just frustration and all those sicknesses. It's because we hold on to these emotions that we don't release.
Yeah.
So why you felt angry, so why angry first, right? Because you said that was your first intuition.
Yeah. Angry that, like I said, why he was alive, that I never heard it. Like it takes his death and this letter in his handwriting, which I knew it was handwriting because he had very neat penmanship, to reaffirm that to me, that like, why couldn't you just have spoken those words when you were here to me? Just once. I mean, if not my lifetime, but just once. You know what I mean? That's um that's that's the part I think I got angry about. Is like you took the time, you wrote this letter, you had these feelings for me, you wrote it down, but then that was it, and then you died. So it was like I felt the whole mm, yeah,
Well, I want to give you a different perception.
okay.
Will you allow me?
I will allow you. Yes, Daniel.
What if God loves you so much that he knew if your father passing away that you never even knew that he just say there was no letter.
Yeah.
How different would that have been?
Mm, true. Oh no, I like I said in the end of after finding the letter, I'm very grateful. Very
Yeah, but does that make sense though? So many times, right? Right.
yeah.
But think about this. First of all, our Heavenly Father loves Bonnie Huntsman so much that and maybe your dad wrote it when he was in pain, like right. We never know when the letter's written, correct? Like there's no reference point of time. So maybe right, maybe that was the last thought your dad had before he, and that's how much God loves you, and that he could say Bonnie needs to read this and see this. That's how amazing you are, and that's how much you meant to him. Isn't that powerful when you look at it from that perception?
It is powerful, because I have been trying to look at things in a different perception. And like you said, I did try to look at it differently. That blessed that, like, at least I had this now. I have this that I've shared now in my book with everybody. That it's very powerful.
So you were angry, and then you were like, you finally heard it. How, so tell us when you kind of got over the right, and you know what? I want to tell you, you had a right to be angry because I think as for me, my dad told me he loved me, but I can tell you that when sometimes when you want to hear it, when in past relationships that I've had with people, that when I didn't hear it when I was younger, like it hurts, right? So you
Sure.
have a right. So first of all, I want to tell you, you have a right to be angry, and you have a right to feel that way. It's nothing wrong with that. So now you finally release, right? You've kind of opened the valve of right, the hot tea, the steam gets out, and now the realization, like, oh crap, my dad just told me he loved me. Like now the little girl, right? Now the little kid, whether it's a little kid, the little boy, the little girl's like, my daddy loves me. Talk to us about that moment because I think that's the breakthrough that many people need to hear right now.
Yeah, I mean, it like you said, it kind of shifted my perception. I had that moment of anger. The more I read the letter and saw the words that he had written, should I say, it was just like a moment of, besides the tears, of like, my dad really did love me. He just couldn't convey it in words himself because he never had the love growing up. He came from, a very abusive background. His father never told him he loved him. His mother was an abused, shy woman. So he never had that. He never had the words from either side of his family, his mother or his father. So he didn't know. It's all he knew, how to raise a daughter is the way he was raised. Like, you do things for them and they should know it. They should feel it. We that, oh, because I did this, you should feel the love. So that's what I started thinking about, is like, I can't blame him because he didn't have all the tools growing up. He didn't, that's what he knew. And he did the best he could raising me and my brother. So
You know what comes to mind with that? It's kind of like, Dad, why didn't you teach me how to ride a bike? Because he didn't know how to ride a bike.
right. They only teach you what they know, from their perspective. Like, changing out a tire. My dad was very mechanically inclined, so he taught me what he knew, and that was maybe his form of love.
So if I have a flat tire, I can call you when I'm in Orlando.
As long as you have all the stuff to fix it.
But so think about what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the analogy that we just shared, right? Maybe you're mad at your mom right now. Maybe you're mad at your dad. Maybe you've cut ties with them because you hate things they've done. You hate things that they've put you through as a child. And maybe you're 40, 50 years old right now. Maybe you're in your 60s and you're still struggling with something. But think about the analogy. If your mom, if your dad never knew how to ride a bike, how can they show you how to ride a bike? I think in our Mexican culture here in San Antonio, if your mom didn't know how to make homemade tortillas, how can you be mad at her for not teaching you how to make homemade tortillas?
So true.
Maybe you're Italian and you're like, my mom never told me how to make lasagna. Well, maybe your mom was embarrassed that she never learned how to make lasagna because you're supposed to know these things if you're from that demographic of being Italian.
Mhm.
Something that helped me. I love the conversation we're having. And thank you, first of all, Bonnie, for just really being totally like an open book today because when my mom passed away when I was like 8 or 9, and as I was getting into 10, 11 years old, I started having anger issues. And I thought I was angry because my mom died, but I was more angry because of the way my dad treated my mom. Because I remember these things when she got diagnosed. I think when she got diagnosed, I was either 5 or 6. So I lived through this for probably about at least 3 years of my life, I would say. And I think when my mom finally passed away, I was probably 10. So it was around from 5 to 10, somewhere around there. But for sure, it was at least a 3 year span. And I remember getting into 12, 13, getting stoned, getting high. Then when it would come to my dad, like I was cool when things were good, but then there would be a part, sometimes I would just be angry with him. And then as I got higher and older in high school, I was like, the anger built up, right? Not towards my dad, but I had anger issues. But I realized it was like, it was unforgiveness towards my dad because the way he treated my mom.
Yep.
And this is what God put in my heart. And maybe this will help somebody listening to this powerful episode is that, right? He goes, love your dad, Daniel. Like, love your dad. Love the human being. He goes, if you're going to hate anything, don't hate your dad, the human being. Hate the things he did.
Mm.
Because all he did was what he could know. All he did was what he knew. And I think
So
when I was able to separate the two from my dad, the human being whom I wanted to love and I loved, to the things that he did that I hated and like angry towards him, it gave me a sense of freedom. What does that say to you, Bonnie?
yeah, you have to let it go because we had this conversation that that was me for the long time. I was happy that I had this letter now to cherish and hold on to, but then I was had so much anger still when I started really thinking about everything with him and how he lived his life because that's all he knew and that's how he grew up. He didn't deserve any better, and he never dug himself out of that mentality of like not feeling worthy enough to have anything in life, not, being worthy of maybe showing your kids that you love them. And that's what made me angry is like this 69-year-old man that like had all these visions and dreams and he never acted or did anything. And when he finally did, as like a part of my book, when he finally decided, because after years of me begging him, because I have these beautiful benefits being a flight attendant for 25 years of being able to have my parents travel free anywhere in the world. And I would bug him because I knew he never had his passport to get your passport, dad, so we can take a trip. And he just never felt deserving of it, and would always say, oh, let your mother, let someone else go, and I did. I traveled with my mother, but I still always wanted that father daughter bond, And when he finally decided one day to make that decision to get his passport, astonishment was the first thing that came to me, but just so happy that we started making these plans and for his future. He was going to be 70, and then all of a sudden he dies suddenly from a blood clot, and his passport comes in the mail after he died. And I had all that anger of like, why did you wait so long? Like I wanted to just scream like, it took you 69 years to, get it, and then you waited so long and then it was too late to use it. And yeah. So that was a lot of my anger that I went through with him of like just mad at him because he waited so long to do anything in life and never really did anything else. And then when he finally wanted to take the action, it was too late. Because we always want to like just do things in life. And like I said, we have these visions maybe, but then we think about it too long and we don't take actions and not realizing it'd be too late.
Are you an aspiring speaker? Do you have a book that you've been wanting to write for months, maybe even years? Or are you an aspiring podcaster? You want to start that podcast like the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and don't know where to start? Well, at Daniel Gomez Enterprises, we can help you do all three. We can help you become that paid speaker, share your story to the world, write your book, and get your podcast launched and help you produce it. We'd love to help you. Give us a call at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954. We can help you become that paid speaker, write that book, and launch your podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call now. So I'm more than confident there's a lot of fathers out there. There's definitely some mothers listening. What would your word of wisdom that you would give them just based on what we're talking about today? And what would you tell them, right? Maybe they're scarred, right? Maybe we got a mom or dad that are out there, they're scarred right now and they were never told they loved by their parents. How would you encourage them or what would give us some words of wisdom? Speak to them for about a minute or two and talk to that mom or dad that maybe they don't really show that love to their children or speak the words, right? They don't affirm their children. We'll put it that way. Take a moment and talk to them, please.
All I can say is like after going through this is like we all can break the cycles. You might not have that love and know how to use it, but you do. It's within all of us to feel love and want to be loved. Is don't waste another minute. Like if you know that you have someone that you truly love, child, mother, father, sister, like Daniel had said earlier, even if you're estranged, love them, tell them, just reach out to them. I mean, if you haven't talked to your mother in years, call her, tell her, I love you, no matter what she's done to you. And I know there's everybody and people have had horrific things happen in their life from their parents, as you had said, because they had that happen to them and they just never broke that cycle and they keep passing it on generation to generation. And my hope is that like we can break that stigmatism or break that just brokenness of people just carrying on from generation to generation of what happened to us and not breaking out of it and doing what we need to do of like just love people and tell them before it's too late. Don't wait and write it down and never tell them. Tell them now why we're here. We're only here once. Tomorrow's not promised. So just
I
tell them.
love that. You know what, and I love the way you worded that because it is a generational curse that's passed on from family member to family member. That's the lineage, right? You got to change the lineage of your family at some point and
For the
go
right
from
word.
right. So yeah, you have the wrong lineage of being just and what okay, somebody's saying, well, Daniel, okay, well, what's lineage, right? What is well, we'll just say that if your father was an alcoholic, well then likelihood is grandfather your grandfather was an alcoholic. And if your grandfather was an alcoholic, more than likely his grandfather was an alcoholic. Or maybe on the other side of that, maybe your mom is a smoker, but your grandma's a smoker. And then you got people dying from lung cancer. But that's your lineage, right? What's the lineage you're passing on into? And yeah, and like for me, it's like I look back at the lineage and that my dad had, it was like, right, beer drinkers were right. My grandpa used to always be. It wasn't even a bar. It wasn't even like a nightclub. It was a cantina, right? It was like a hole in the wall bar, a cantina, and right, his grandfather was that, and so my dad kind of fell in that, and I was going down that path before the grace of God kind of saved my tail from my own destruction. But then Daniel kind of wakes up from his lineage nightmare and I think that what you said is powerful, Bonnie, because there's always one, right? Bonnie's the one in the family that's changing the lineage. Daniel's the one that's changed the lineage, right? Living a life that I never thought I would live, have my own business, thriving because of God's grace. Glory be to God. Allowed me to have a book publishing company that we were able to help Bonnie, allowed me to have a successful business where we're employing people. But there's always one that has the power within them because of God's grace to break that generational curse and that change the lineage. Maybe that's you listening and you know it's been tugging at your heart and you're like you've been ignoring it because you don't want to people to say I'm crazy and this is the biggest thing that stops most people when they right when they get that tug in their heart, Bonnie, that they're the one. Well, what is my mom gonna say? What is my dad gonna say? What are my brothers gonna say? What is my sister gonna say?
Friend's gonna say, I struggled with that. Like, who do you think you are to be an author? You're not a writer, you know? And I'm like, who says I'm not? I mean, I'm the only one that can tell myself that I am or am not, right? But
Yes.
we listen to the other voices all the time, as you just said, of we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we don't deserve this. And then that stops us, like we said, in our tracks of the fear of what they think and judge us on.
Yeah.
And to me, like you said, it's astonishing. It's just that we're our own worst enemies and we don't even realize it sometimes.
Well, it's kind of like the one, right? We'll just say that me and Bonnie are the black sheep of the family. The black sheep is the one, it's a good thing because we think differently. And it's like, well, why are y'all walking when there's a bicycle?
Mhm. Right.
And then now, decades later, well, the bicycle was good, but guess what? They invented a car. And why keep driving a bicycle, right? Why are you driving a bicycle now 50 miles when you can drive your car? It's like,
Yeah.
but sometimes we're so stuck in our ways.
Yes.
And it reminds me of this story where you have the daughter and you have the mom there and it's on Thanksgiving and they're getting everything ready. And the mom's preparing the ham and they're glazing it and beautiful, the aromas in the air, right? It's Thanksgiving time and You got spices everywhere and you smell that. And then next thing you know, the mom gets the ham and she cuts off the butts and then she puts it in the pan. And then the daughter asks the mom, Mom, how long have you been cutting the butts off the ham? She goes, Oh, I've been doing it since I was a kid. Well, why do you do it? Well, I do it because Ma did it, grandma.
Yep.
And well, why did she do it? Well, I don't know. And then the little girl in her curiosity, Mama, can we call grandma and ask her? Sure, why not? So they pick up the phone, they call mama and grandma, and hey, grandma, we're just here getting ready for Thanksgiving. Excited to see y'all tomorrow. But me and mom were here getting the ham ready, and she cut the ends of the hams off, and she said she got that from you. So I was wondering, why do you cut off the edges of the ham? And she goes, What? Why did I cut the ham? That was easy. It didn't fit in the pan. The biggest pan I had, the ham wouldn't fit in it. But it became something that was passed on because they thought it was out of like just something special. No, like the freaking ham didn't fit in the pan. And how many
Okay.
times it's like we see something and we take it for what it really isn't,
Right.
and we just
Mm.
it becomes part of our belief system, and then we get stuck in that thought process, and things don't change.
Yeah, no, they don't because we that's all we know and it's what's ingrained in us and it's our habits we form, like you said, in a young age of like seeing our parents, the role models, what we see and what we, have to emulate. And then we grow up and we tend to do the same things because we didn't know any better,
So
you
let
know.
me ask you this: you wrote your book now. What's happened after you wrote your book, right? And it's available on Amazon right now, ladies and gentlemen. Flying Higher to a Fulfilling Life: Letters from a Father. How did this is I think this is what I want people to know because I've experienced this. I've experienced this from speaking. When I speak, the first couple of times I really spoke, I cried a lot. Like it brought a deeper healing to me. What happened to you for the better? What was let me reframe it this way. What unlocked in Bonnie that she didn't even what she wasn't even aware that it was there when you allowed yourself to share your story and become a published author?
Well, besides the healing of my father, the release of that, just the healing inside my heart, um, just realizing that I have more in me and that the feeling of maybe I'm not a published author or maybe I don't deserve it. I do, and I do deserve to help others. I mean, since then, I've just been humbled and blessed with all my friends and family that have gone on to say they've bought my book and cried in tears of reading my father's letter in the end and not knowing that about me, but it made them feel closer to me of knowing what I went through. You know how when you know people's story, but you don't know people's story, then you hear it, it brings that little bit closeness that you always knew that was in there with them. And uh, yeah, I just feel humbled and blessed that like the response that I had one friend say, his mom recently died, and he was like just so happy that he read my book, and he said thank you to me for writing this book because he said it helped him heal in a little bit of a way because of all the trauma and stuff he'd gone through and with family issues of the mother dying and now he wants to write a book. He's like, will you help me write my book? He goes, I have so much and I'm like, you just start, and because he's always like, I have all this stuff, and I go, well, you just got to start writing it down, and you start with the vision of what you want, because that's what it was for me. I never really thought that it would get to this point, and I just started by writing down like a year's worth of everything, and it made no sense to anybody but me. It was all just a discombobbled mess of just my thoughts and whatever I would write down about my father of that day or my life growing up. And then at the end, when we put it all together so beautifully, I mean, just the amazement of it, that the effect that I see that it's having on people, that just fills my heart, that
So,
I
so
never dreamed it.
yeah, it's what and the thing is, right? You had pieces together, and then was it easier than you thought once we got your template going?
Um, yes, I mean, a lot of people think that's the hardest part, but no, once you find somebody like yourself that really like helps you along the journey, it was the process was so much easier than I ever dreamed. I mean, like I said, I always had this fear of how hard it was going to be, or this or that, and I didn't know what I was doing because, of course, I'm not a publisher. You know? But you don't have to. That's the crazy thing in life is we don't have to. We just have to find the person that does. And
Yeah.
that happened to be you, Daniel. You know, we don't have to know how to do everything. But guess what? There are people like you that know how to do it and that help us do it. And that's what it was for me, is realizing that I don't have to know everything. But guess what? There's somebody that does, and we just have to find them. And like you
Oh,
said, meeting you, that coincidental meeting in Arizona at where we were, that changed everything really for me, honestly. It's like
so
I knew I was looking for my who, and I found you.
awesome.
But
What
yeah.
is next for Bonnie Huntsman?
So much. Just hoping to build off this book, and a lot of the, if I'm being honest, a lot of the proceeds from it, I'm going to be donating to mental illness because of my brother. And I've actually just started jotting down, as I said, my process of I want to write another book. So I'm in the process of just getting all my thoughts out on that again. Now that I have the who, so
Yeah.
and know that it's possible. Um, but yeah, so I look forward to writing another book, and hopefully just impacting as many people as I can to realize that to live a life before it's too late and you're no longer here. Like I said, is tomorrow isn't a promise. Today's the gift, and what we do with today, that's what matters.
So
That's why.
I'm curious, and I think the listeners, because I think you have them on the edge of their seats, and right now they're just like, "Wow, this is a powerful, deep story." What is different that you see about yourself?
Oh gosh, over this journey, the difference is the confidence that I have to believe in myself that I can do anything that I want. I just had to believe it. That's what others need to do, is you just have to believe it within yourself that you can do anything you want and that you are worthy of so many things that we don't believe that we are, but we are. So yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, maybe you've been listening to this amazing episode, and maybe you don't think you're worthy. Maybe you don't think you're good enough.
Mm.
I want to encourage you to reach out to me. I love helping people formulate their stories. I love coaching people through things, and sometimes we all need help.
We do.
And maybe you just need somebody to believe in you. Sometimes it just takes somebody to say, "Hey, you can do this." And once you get your own belief going, then you skyrocket. And look at Bonnie's a testimony of having more confidence. And you know, it's amazing, Bonnie, when I ask people, "Well, do you need more confidence?" No, I'm confident, right? Kind of the ego always pops up. But the truth is, I want you to write this question down, ladies and gentlemen. Where in my life do I need more confidence? Maybe you have confidence in your workplace, but maybe you don't have confidence at home. I mean, it's a broad question, so don't limit that. So write that down. Ask yourself, where do I need more confidence in my life? Is it in my finances? Is it in my business? Is it in my career? Is it in my health? Maybe you don't have the body you want to have. Maybe you're making excuses. I'm 50 and I think I'm 21, so I push myself to do
Oh,
one more rep. And let me tell
yeah,
you, it's not as easy as it was, but I'm
it is.
struggling. But guess what? I struggle too, where I'm like I'm happy because it's like I see the results. So reach out to us if you need help, but really ask yourself, where do I need to have more confidence? And Bonnie, somebody wants to connect with you. How do they connect with the amazing Bonnie Huntsman?
Oh, so bonniehuntsman.com. On Facebook, you can connect with me on Facebook through Bonnie Huntsman, Bonnie Parson Huntsman. My maiden name's still on there. But yeah, I'm on all of the social medias, so anybody can reach out to me in social media.
And ladies and gentlemen, this book would make a great gift. First of all, letters from a father. I mean, that's just what stands out to me because really that's just it's a powerful subtitle, one of the most powerful subtitles that it brought healing to Bonnie. And I go to Amazon, get a copy, whether it's a Kindle or paperback, and read it and just open your heart to receive it because the way it's helped Bonnie heal her own life, the author, it can help you heal your life. And it's an amazing read that you can read in one beautiful afternoon out there at the beach now that it's summertime. So go out there and get your copy on Amazon. We'll put the links here on the show notes. And Bonnie, last question before we cut you loose is, what is a scripture or a quote that you rely on in times of adversity? What is a scripture or a quote that Bonnie Huntsman relies on the time of adversity?
Ooh, so it's Jeremiah 29:11, that God has a plan for me and that He knows it, and I'm on the path.
The amazing Bonnie Huntsman. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Share this episode with us and powerful, powerful episode today. And maybe you've been thinking about wanting to write a book. Guess what? Here at DD Publishing behind me, we can hear you, we can help you share your story, and we can help you become that next published author. It's easier. We provide a template. It's a process where we guide you through the whole thing. And Bonnie's a living testament of how easy it can be. Or maybe you're ready to share your story on stage, the Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, coming up September 13th and 14th. We want to hear from you. Give us a call at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954. Or better yet, book a session with us here on the link below and spend some time with Daniel Gomez. Until next week, man, Bonnie has my heart choked up. What an amazing episode. And we'll see you next week here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Thank you for just being here with this gem of an episode. Thank you, Bonnie, for being totally transparent and opening up your heart. We love you. We appreciate you. And thank you for being one of our amazing authors.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for everything.
This is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and thank you for listening to our show today. Please share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe to our show. And for listening to our show today, I want to give you a free gift. I want to invite you to our Millionaire Mind community. Text the word millionaire, that's millionaire, to 210-942-5059. Yes, join our community today and receive millionaire affirmations, inspirational quotes on a weekly basis. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire today and join our community. And once again, thank you for listening to our show.